Welcome back to another 100% Construction, where we discuss the most frequently asked questions from our customers. So today I would like to discuss how to know if your insurance is good. Simply put, insurance companies are not all created equally. You've got some that are really great, like Chubb, for instance, CHUBB. They're fantastic, and they really come out with the objective of how do we take care of our homeowners when there's been a covered peril. And then you've got the ones on the opposite end of the spectrum that I won't name. I'm not in the business of bashing insurance companies, but I will say that they show up with the opposite objective. How can we get out of paying for this claim? And then there's a ton of companies in between on different areas of kind of that sliding scale of who takes care of their people best. So what do you need to know? Number one, you need to know, how does your insurance carrier pay their claims? There's a lot of different ways you can find this out, but you can do some internet-based research. You can talk to a contractor in your area and ask, hey, who's taking care of their customers, who's not? There's a million different things you can do there. What's most important to understand is really it's the language inside your policy that matters. Now, I'm not allowed to coach policy because there's laws against that in Texas for some odd reason. Somebody who deals with insurance carriers every day isn't allowed to talk about nuances of policy. But here's what I can tell you. The best way to make sure that you're covered is by having a great relationship with your insurance agent. And not only a great relationship with them, like you go, grab beers and tacos on a Friday, having a great relationship like you can go into their office or call them every 12 or 18 months and say, hey, so-and-so, I have a couple questions. In the event that my house gets hit by hail, what does that look like for me? What's covered and what's not? How much are my deductibles? Is there anything I need to know about the age of my roof affecting how much my claim gets paid? All these kind of questions. And they can tell you those answers and you can make those decisions for yourself. But you don't stop there. You want to ask them, what happens if there's a lightning strike? What happens if there's a pipe burst? What happens if my plumbing backs up? A lot of people don't know that people don't have plumbing backup coverage, meaning if your toilets overflow and ruin, $20,000 worth of hardwood floors, if you don't have that checked on your policy, you're paying for the $20,000 worth of hardwood floors because it was excluded from your policy. So that's the conversation you want to have. When you go in and talk to your agent, hey, can you please tell me all of my exclusions? Can you please tell me what happens? What if a tornado hits my home? What does that look like for me? How much is my home valued? How much money would I receive from my insurance carrier to replace my entire home if it gets hit with a tornado? To replace my entire roof if it gets hit with hail? To rebuild my kitchen if there's a fire from cooking or whatever it is? And you want to make sure that you have all of the answers to these questions. Most specifically, you want to ask, what are my exclusions? Now, the exclusions that we see a lot on my side are things like metal exclusions, which, if you think about it, there's a lot of metal on the outside of your house, and a lot of that metal has an aesthetic function. So your gutters, for instance, you may never even notice your rain gutters. But if your gutters had dents in them the size of, golf balls or tennis balls, well, you would notice that. And if in the event your house gets hit with a hailstorm and you find out there's a metal exclusion, then maybe your gutters aren't covered. Actually, let me rephrase that. Your gutters are not covered. The ventilation on your roof that's made of metal also is not covered. The chimney cap that's on top of your chimney is not covered. Now, is this a big deal if you get hit with half-inch hail? Maybe, maybe not. Maybe you don't even notice. But let's say you get hit with 2-inch hail. And now there's very obvious blemishes on all the items that I just named. You've got two options. Either don't replace them and live with having a kind of ugly house because it's all beat up, or replace them out of your own pocket, which you're not going to be very happy about because you're still paying your deductible, whatever that is. Let's say it's $5,000. You're still paying your $5,000 deductible. Your gutters might be $3,000. That chimney cap, if it's a big fancy one, could be $1,500, $2,000. And those vents could be $200 a piece, and you might have 10 of them. So there's a possibility that your metal exclusion could cost you an additional $5,000 to $10,000 that you didn't know of because you didn't ask the question, what are my exclusions? So when picking an insurance carrier, first and foremost, find an insurance carrier that has great reviews on actually paying their claims and taking care of their customers. Second of all, have a great relationship with your agent. Understand that you can go in and ask questions. Do it in email if it makes you feel better. That way you have it in writing. But a great insurance agent is the best thing that you can have because, and we've had this happen before, where an insurance agent told a customer that they were covered and their office had a mistake on the paperwork. Well, then when the claim happened, the adjuster came out and said, oh, I'm sorry, this isn't covered. And it wasn't the homeowner's fault. The homeowner had asked all the right questions and done all the right things. They were still denying the claim. Well, the homeowner called the agent and said, hey man, we specifically had this conversation. You told me I was covered. They're telling me I'm not. What's the deal? The agent looked at everything, found the mistake that his office made, and then called the adjuster and said, look, we've got to pay for this because he asked for it. I told him he was covered. My office made a mistake, and now it's resulting in a lack of coverage on his side. So if you have to kind of slap my hand, or whatever they do on their side for errors and omissions or whatever it is, do that. But don't take this out on my homeowner because my homeowner did everything right and my office kind of messed it up. And in that scenario, they cut the check, and it was a large check. It was about $80,000. So with that said, if he didn't have that relationship with his agent, it would have never, ever, ever, ever happened. So do your homework, ask local contractors. If you really want to know, call a roofer. Call a roofer and say, hey, who's paying their claims fairly and who's not? And I promise you, any roofing company in your market is going to be able to tell you who's taking care of their clients and who's not, because we deal with this on a daily basis. Once you've found a good company, find a good agent. Once you've found a good agent, go to their office. If you don't want to go to their office, at least establish a relationship via phone call or email that you can really, really ask them some hard questions and get to the bottom of it. And once you've asked your questions, repeat that every 12 or 18 months because things change. There's some policies that are written that after a certain number of years, right, year 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 10, 15, after year 15, the money starts going away, right? They start saying, oh, we'll only give you 60% of the total value of your house or the total value of your roof. And then year 20, oh, we'll only give you 30%. Year 25, oh, we'll give you 10%. And sometimes in some scenarios, you think you have full coverage and it turns out you barely have any coverage at all. But if you're constantly asking questions to your insurance agent, hey, what does this mean when X happens? Then you can always stay on top of that. And then in the event that something happens and you're not covered, you've got a great relationship with a great agent who can go to bat for you and say, no, this person did everything correctly. We need to get them paid. This is my fault, not theirs. If you're in the DFW area and you'd like a recommendation, we know a handful of great agents that are freaking awesome that we'd love to introduce you to. If you're out of the area, I can definitely make some suggestions on insurance companies that are more fair than others. Please know I'm not in the business of bashing insurance companies, so if you're calling me to complain about an insurance company, I'll gladly listen, but I won't necessarily join in with you as much as I'd like to sometimes. But yeah, call and ask the questions, set up the good relationship, and then make sure you're having those annual or semi-annual conversations of, hey, what happens when X? As long as you do that, you should be good. Hope this helps. If you have any more questions or if we can be of any more assistance, please don't hesitate to call. You can reach myself or my team at 469-999-6091, or you can always find us at www.stoptheknocking.com. Thanks. Have a great day.